Hi, this is Michelle from Barrett's Backyard Book Club, and today I want to tell you 3 things that you can do to help motivate your child to read. The first thing you can do is to model reading. Be a reader yourself. Have books around your house that you'll just pick up and flip through or sit down and have your kids watch you enjoy reading. If you're in a stage of life like me where you think, really, my kids are never actually watching me sit down to read. I wake up early to read, or after the kids are in bed, that's when I have my alone time to read. So it isn't often that my kids will just see me hanging out on the couch reading a book. If you can't do that, that's great. But I'll try and pick up a book here and there, or if I have a few minutes where I'm just waiting for something in the kitchen, or a few minutes between activities, I want my kids to see me pulling out a book. Another thing you can do is talk to your kids about the book that you're reading. Make it a dinner table conversation. So at the beginning of the COVID quarantine, I just needed a mindless, fun read. And so I picked up this cheesy romance novel. But when at the dinner table, I was telling my kids about it. And it was one of those novels that it's the woman choosing between 2 amazing men and who's she gonna choose. So I presented this book plot to my kids as if this were an intellectual debate or something. And I'm telling them about both these men and this crisis that this woman is having. And it turned out to be a really fun way, and I loved hearing my kids' responses and what they thought and who they thought she should choose, all over just sharing a very fun reading for pleasure book that I was working through. So share what you're reading with your kids and let them see you read in front of them. All right, the second thing you can do is let them choose what to read. Speaking of choosing really cheesy books, as an adult, we can choose whatever books we want to read, but kids sometimes get so bogged down with either required reading or reading homework that oftentimes for them, reading feels like something they have to do and not something that they just get to do for pleasure. So I know that there really are things they just have to get done for schoolwork or for certain goals or required reading, like I had mentioned. But if you can carve out time in your child's schedule to just let them read just for fun, just a book that they want to read because they find joy in that book, I think we're going to see a lot of success in helping our children become lifelong readers if they can make those choices for themselves and read books that they really enjoy. If your child wants to read The 7th Diary of a Wimpy Kid and you are really hoping they would read Anne of Green Gables, just let it go. Let them read what they want to read, and that just reading for pleasure is going to pay large dividends. Now, this is not to say that I let my kids read anything they want. I make sure that what my kids are reading is appropriate for them for whatever age or developmental stage they're in, or that it jives with our family values. That's really important to me. I'm not just saying go out and read anything that you want. In terms of appropriateness for children, there's a few websites I use. Common Sense Media is a great one for books and movies to hear what other parents are saying and how even children themselves rate different things for appropriateness and age appropriateness of books and movies. Amazon reviews I'll look through, as well as Goodreads reviews are helpful too. A lot of times if I'm questioning something or I'm not sure about a certain book, I'll read it myself. So I'm definitely not just allowing my kids to read anything, but within what is appropriate for them, I really do like them to get to choose the books that they enjoy. My kids have subscriptions to a couple magazines, and this could be a great way to get your child interested in reading if they have an interest in a certain thing that you can get a magazine about. My kids have a Sports Illustrated for Kids magazine subscription, as well as a Highlights magazine. And I know National Geographic for Kids is another great option if that's something that your child is interested in. I would say let them have that time that they can just choose what they want to read. Okay, the third thing you can do is read together. Read out loud with your child. Have that bonding time to read together. Let's go back to my example of Anne of Green Gables. Let's say that book is really meaningful for you and you really want your child to read it. Read it together. Read it out loud with them and have those memories with that book and those positive associations of reading together with your child. Recently, my daughter had to read several different genres, and the one that she needed to fulfill and was kind of the last one on the list was folktale. It just wasn't her favorite. So she got to choose a book within that genre. So she and I were looking at some different options and we chose one, and I said, let me read this with you, knowing it might be a little difficult for her. Now that is one thing. If I think a book's going to be a little bit difficult or maybe just above their reading level or might need a little context or explanation, I think that's a great book to read out loud as a family or one-on-one with your child. So back to my daughter, we chose a book that was in the folktale genre and we got really excited to read it together, and I started reading it and it's like my mouth didn't even want to say the words. I was butchering this book, this kind of like old English feel, and I didn't know how to pronounce the names or the places, and every time I opened it I just felt like my eyelids getting really heavy and I wanted to fall asleep. So we weren't going anywhere fast. It was just kind of frustrating. So we decided to buy the audiobook. And I did have, of course, the physical book, which I love. I just am a visual learner. I love seeing the words. I love holding the book. So we read along with our book and listened to a person who actually knew how to read well, who could actually pronounce the words and speak fluently to read the book to us. And it was great. We ended up loving the book. It was the first of a series, and afterward my daughter asked, oh, can I get the second book in this series? I loved it. So it turned out to be a great experience to motivate my daughter in her reading. Okay, there are the 3 things that you can start doing now to help motivate your child to read. You can be the model for reading. You can be the reader that they look to and see how that looks in real life, to pick up a book here and there to talk about what a book means to you. You can be that model for reading. Also, you can let them choose the books they want to read and let them choose books that they're really going to enjoy. And the third thing was read together. Spend time making memories reading together. And I know that these are great steps to get our children to be motivated to be readers.